Welcome back, guys. I'm just admitting your friends. Ali, Ruhaim, Haya, Kunuz, Lulwa, Maryam, Yasmin Sa'a, Yusuf Awad. Okay. So in the room, there are about 15 students. Haya, are you in the room now? Haya?
Yes.
Another mobile or another iPhone is trying to join. So you have to?
No, it's the internet connection.
Maybe. Okay, so I have Haya, Ali, Hassan Gouda, Hassan Ruhaim, Lulwa, Maryam Tadrus, Yahya Awad, Yasin, Yasmin Sa'a, Abdurrahman Walid, Jana Gouda, Kunuz, and Yusuf Awad. So this is Yahya. Okay, Yahya, I think you were absent in the first session, right?
Mr.
Kunuz,
راحت عليا نوم.
okay, Yahya. Kunuz, you joined us in the first session and then left. Why Kunuz? Kunuz, can you hear me? Knuz, I told you again and again to solve your problem with the mic because it never works. I'm not sure why. This means you'll be absent today. Fix your mic problem quickly, please. Yusuf Awad, solve the mic problem. Ganna Gouda, solve the mic problem. Okay, in the first session, last want to share this. In the first session, we did up to this part. Who can summarize the last scene we were doing? The last scene we were doing. Who can remind me of it?
Can you say the question again?
Wait until I meet Jana Garaihi, and I do remember who. Jana and the last two people who joined are Jana and a gentleman. Who is this gentleman? Jana. Jana Garaihi, are you in the room now?
Yes, mister.
Okay. Who else have I just admitted, guys? Jana and who? Boghdadi, I think. Yes, Boghdadi. Jana and Boghdadi. Okay, so I was asking the question again, guys. I was asking about the last scene we did in the first session. Who can remind me of the last part of the first session? What was happening? Who are the characters involved in the last scene of the first session? Hassan? Hassan Gouda? Okay.
Liesel went to the mayor's house and the mayor's wife told her about the letter that her mother left her.
Noisy around you, Hassan? It's noisy?
Uh, uh, the mayor's wife gave Liesel a letter from her mom.
Okay. Thank you, Hassan. So it was the mayor's wife telling Liesel that they no longer need their service. She gave her an envelope. In the envelope, there was a message. We thought that it was money, but it turned out that it wasn't money. It was a message written by the mayor apologizing for ending Rosa's business and telling her that he can't be a hypocrite when he asks people that uh, uh, the future will be worse and he himself is still asking other people to wash his clothes. The girl, the mayor's wife, gave Liesel the book, The Whistler, and she insisted on this. And after leaving the house, Liesel turned back and said these words to the mayor's wife. Uh, I'll check. I need someone to read. Yusuf Awad, Kunuz, and Gana Goda still have problems with their mics. طيب. Yasmin Sa'a, can you read? Yasmin? Yasmin Sa'a.
Yes, mister.
Can you read?
Okay. I will read now.
Yes. The speaker here is Liesel. She's talking to the mayor's wife. She's blaming her for ending their business because the mayor's wife told her that we don't want our clothes to be washed anymore. Okay? But the girl was very angry and went back to her and said these words to her. Can you read?
Okay. You think she said you can buy me off with this book? Her voice, though shaken, hooked at the woman's throat. The glittering anger was thick and unnerving, but she toiled through it. She worked herself up even further, to the point where she needed to wipe the tears from her eye. You give me the summons of a book and think it'll make everything good. When I go and tell my mama that we have just lost our last one, while you sit here in your
Mansion. A mansion
mansion.
is a big house. Okay, so
Yes.
the girl is blaming the mayor's wife for ending the business. Go on.
The mayor's wife arms they hung. Her face slipped. Liesel, however, did not buckle. She sprayed her
Spray.
word directly into the woman's eyes. You and your husband sitting up here. Now she became more
Spiteful.
spiteful and evil. More spiteful and evil, more than she thought herself capable. The injury of words, yes, uh, the
Brutality of words.
brutality of words. She summoned them from some place she only now recognized and hurled them at Elsa. Herman, it's about time, she informed her, that you do our stinking washing anyways. It's about time you faced the fact that your son is dead. He got killed. He is strangled and cut up more than 20 years ago. Or did he freeze to death? Either ways, he died. He's dead. It's pathetic that you sit here shivering in your own house to suffer for it. You think you're the only one.
Okay, so
Immediately, her
Yasmin.
brother was
Yasmin, hold on, please. So the girl is
uh,
blaming the mayor's wife
okay.
for being pathetic for her a dead son. Her son, the mayor's wife's son, died 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, maybe in World War One, and the girl blames her for being pathetic for her son because Liesel also lost her brother, and it was a couple of years ago, maybe a year or two ago, on the train. But the girl didn't do like her, but the girl was blaming the mayor's wife for being pathetic for her son for 20 years. You think you're the only one who lost a dear person. You think you are the only one whose son has died or died. I also lost a brother. Okay, go on, Yasmin.
Her brother was next to her. He whispered for her to stop, but he too was dead and not worth listening to.
You
He
know,
died
you
in
know,
a train.
you know, Werner,
Uh,
Liesel's brother is dead, right? But the image of her
Yes.
brother or the ghost of her brother comes over to her and asks her to stop. He whispered for her to stop, but he too was dead. Werner was dead and not worth listening to. She didn't listen to her brother. He died in a train, as we know. They buried him in the snow, as you know. Liesel glanced at him. She looked at him, but she could not make herself stop. Not yet. She still blames the mayor's wife for firing them. Go on, Yasmin. This book,
This book, she went on. She moved the boy down the steps, making him fall.
she shoved
I
him.
don't, I
She
don't,
shoved him, pushed him, shoved, shoved.
I don't want it. The words were quieter now, but still just hot. She threw the whistler at the woman's slippered feet, hearing the clack of it as it landed on the cement. I don't want you, a miserable book.
So the Whistler is the title of the book the mayor's wife gave to the girl when she ended their business. But the girl thought that the mayor's wife was buying her off with this book. Okay, so the girl threw the book at the mayor's wife's feet and said, I don't want your miserable book. Go on.
And now she managed it. She fell silent. Her throat was barren now, no words for miles. Her brother, holding his knee, disappeared after a miscarriage pause. The mayor's wife edged forward and picked up the book. She was battered and beaten up, and not from smiling this time. Liesel could see it on her face. Blood leaked from her nose and licked at her lips. Her eyes had blanked.
Blackened.
Her eyes had blanked.
Blackened.
Cuts
Blackened means became
blank
black.
black.
Blackened. Okay.
Yeah. Cuts had opened up, and series of ones were rising to the surface of her skin, all from words, from Liesel's words.
So Liesel's words made the mayor's wife bleed, as we can see. Uh, so thank you, Yasmin. Follow up, please. Uh, I want to ask a question, please, to check your following up. I want to ask Yasmin Said. Yasmin Said, can you hear me? Yasmin Said. So Yasmin is not here. Hi. Haya, Haya, are you there? Haya?
Yes, sir. أنا ياسمين.
Okay, Yasmin. So we read the Whistler. The Whistler. Yasmin read these two words. What is the Whistler? What is the Whistler? Whistler. The Whistler.
Someone who blows a whistle, صح؟
Yes, this is the meaning of the word, but the Whistler we read on the previous few pages is something different here. Ruhaim, go ahead.
It's the book that the mayor's wife gave to Liesel.
Okay, this is the title, Yasmin, the title of the book the mayor's wife gave to Liesel when she fired them, when she fired her, when she gave her an envelope. In the envelope, there was a message written by the mayor himself to Rosa telling her that he can't be a hypocrite when he asks other people to wash his clothes. And at the same time, he's telling people that harsher or worse circumstances will come soon. Okay? He said, I can't be a hypocrite when I ask other people to live a harsh life and I ask other people to wash my clothes. Okay, thank you, Hassan. Thank you, Yasmin. طيب, who can read, guys? Or who wants to read? Haya, can you read, please? Haya,
Yes, miss.
can you read? Raise your voice.
book in hand and straightening from a crouch to a standing hunch, Elsa Hermanen began the process again of saying sorry, but the sentence didn't make it out.
So who's
Let
Elsa
me.
Herman? Haya, who's Elsa Herman?
The one, the mayor's wife.
Yes, the mayor's wife. Hmm. Slap me?
Come on, slap me. Elsa Herman didn't slap her, she merely retreated backward into the ugly air of her beautiful house. And Liesel once again was left alone, clutching at the steps. She was afraid to turn around because she knew that when she did, the glass casing of mulching had now been shattered, and she'd be glad of it.
Wait, Haya, just to explain this point. Whenever the girl went out of the mayor's house was built on a hill, on a high area. She saw the whole town of Malking in front of her like a glass house. Again, when Liesel went out, or every time she left the mayor's house, she stood on the steps of the stairs and looked at the whole town or village of Malking, and she imagined that it was like in something like a jar, a glass jar. This is the image here. Go on, Haya. Hmm. Haya?
As her last orders of business, she read the letter one more time, and when she was close to the gate, she served it up as tightly as she could and threw it at the door, as if it were a rock. I have no idea what the book thief expected, but the ball of paper hit the mighty sheet of wood and twittered back down the steps. It landed at her feet.
So,
Typical, she
which
said.
letter is the narrator telling us about here? Again, the letter that the mayor wrote for Rosa apologizing for finishing her job as a washer of their laundry, okay? So the girl took the paper out of the envelope and crumbled it and make it like a ball and threw it at the mayor's door. Okay, it landed at her feet. The paper hit the door and came back. It landed at Liesel's feet. Ah, go on. Typical.
Typical, she
Hmm.
stated. What?
Okay, typical. Go on.
Typical, she stated, kicking it onto the grass. Useless. On the way home this time, she imagined the fate of that paper the next time it rained. When the mended glass house of mulching was turned upside down, she could already see the words dissolving letter by letter, till there was nothing left, just paper, just earth. At home, as luck would have it, when Liesel walked through the door, Rosa was in the kitchen, and she asked, "Where's the washing? No
Remember,
washing
wait,
today."
wait, hold on, Haya. Remember, Liesel for the first time going back home to Rosa without any dirty clothes to wash. This means there is no more money for the business of washing. And the mayor was the last customer. Remember, they started with five customers, five rich customers. They fired them one after one. And this was their last hope. With this little money, they could buy a little bread and some little fat. But now the girl is coming back home without any clothes in the bag. She said, "Where is the washing? No washing today." And Liesel, of course, found it very hard to tell Rosa about this. And she knew how Rosa would feel when they lose all the money they get, the last part of money they used to get from this business. Go on, Haya.
Rosa came and sat down at the kitchen table. She knew suddenly she appeared much older. Liesel imagined what she'd look like if she
Untied,
untied her bun.
untied her
To
hair.
let it fall out into to let it fall out onto her shoulders, a great towel of elastic hair. What did you do there, you little
Zaumensch.
sandwich? The sentence was numb. She couldn't muster her usual venom. It was my fault, Liesel answered. Completely, I insulted the mayor's wife and told her to stop crying over her dead son. I called her pathetic. That was when they fired you here. She walked to the wooden spoons, grabbed a handful, and placed them in front of her. Take your pick.
Wait, Haya.
Rosa,
Wait, you know that Rosa was in the habit of hitting Liesel with the wooden spoons. Liesel said that I blamed the mayor's wife for being pathetic for her son, and I deserve to be beaten like every time. And she went to a couple of wooden spoons and brought them to Rosa to hit her. Rosa touched one and picked it up, but she did not wield it. She didn't hit the girl. I don't believe you, Rosa said. I don't believe you. Why يعني Liesel lied to Rosa. She told her that they fired us because I blamed her for being sad for her son all this time. Rosa, of course, didn't believe this story, and Liesel was torn between distress and total mystification. The girl didn't know what to do. The one time she desperately wanted a vatchen. A vatchen is a beating, or she wanted her mother to hit her, and she wanted it this time, but this time Rosa didn't hit her. And she said, it's my fault. It's not your fault, Mama said. And she even stood and stroked Liesel's waxy hair. I know you wouldn't say those things. I said them. All right, you said them. And Liesel wanted to convince, thank you, Haya. Liesel wanted to convince Rosa that it was her mistake. The mayor's wife fired them because the girl said or told her that she should stop, let's say, lamenting the death of her son or the loss of her son. But Rosa didn't believe this story. I said them, the girl insisted, all right, you said them, I believe you, no problem. But Liesel didn't take her usual vatchen or ما خدتش العلقة اللي هي كانت متعودة عليها. Okay, thank you, Haya. I want someone else to read. This is the last page of this part, I think. I want someone else to read. Knuz, Ali, please solve the problem of the mic. Yusuf had solved it, and other guys have solved it. Knuz, solve your problem with the mic, please. You should take part in the session. You should participate. Jana Garahi, can you read?
Yes, mister.
You were absent in the first session, Jana, right?
Yes, I didn't attend.
Okay.
I fell asleep.
No problem.
As Lisa left the room, she could hear the wooden spoons clicking back into the position in the metal jar that held them. By the time she reached her bedroom, the whole lot of them, the jar included, were thrown to the floor. Later, she walked down to the basement where Max was standing in the dark, most likely boxing with the Führer.
Again, let me remind those who were absent today or yesterday that Max now is doing some push-ups, some exercises for two reasons. Because he thought that he became or was becoming weaker and weaker, so he wanted to strengthen himself up somehow and to get ready to fight Führer or Hitler. He imagined that Hitler visited us in the basement every day and they had long fights. When the girl went down to Max, she found them standing or doing his push-ups, getting ready for Führer. Okay, go on, Jan.
Max, the light dimmed on a red coin floating in the corner. Can you teach me how to do the push-ups? Max showed her and occasionally lifted her torso to help, but despite her bony appearance, Liesel was strong and could hold her body weight nicely. She didn't count how many she could do, but that night in the glow of the basement, the box thief completed enough push-ups to make her hurt for several days. Even when Max advised her that she had already done too many, she continued. In bed, she read with Papa when who could tell something was wrong. It was the first time in a month that he had come in and sit with her, and she was comforted, if any slightly. Somehow, Hans Hopperman always knew what to say, and when to leave her be. Perhaps Liesel was the one thing he was a true expert at. Uh, is uh, is it the washing? He asked. Liesel shook her head. Papa hadn't shaved for a few days, and he rubbed the scratchy whiskers every 2 or 3 minutes. His silver eyes were flat and calm, slightly warm, as they always were when it came to Liesel. When the reading petered out, Papa fell asleep. It was then that Liesel spoke what she would wanted to say all along. "Papa," she whispered, "I think I'm going to hell." Her legs were warm, her knees were cold. She remembered the nights when she had wet the bed and Papa had washed the sheets and taught her the letters of the alphabet. Now his breathing blew across the blanket and she kissed his scratchy cheek. "You need a shave," she said. "You're not going to hell," Papa replied. For a few moments she watched his face, then she lay back down, leaned on him, and together they slept very much in Munich, but somewhere on the seventh side of Germany die.
Okay. Thank you, Jenna. This is the end of this part. The next part is Rudy's youth. Uh, Remember, Rudy is still a child. Liesel is 12 now. Rudy was about 9 months older than her, as we read before. In the end, she had to give it to him. He knew how to perform a portrait of Rudy Steiner in July 1941. Remember that the narrator death told us about the end of Rudy. He told us that he would die young, and death himself said he doesn't deserve this end. Okay, strings of mud clench his face. His tie is a pendulum. You know the pendulum of the clock, long dead in its clock. His lemon lamplit hair is disheveled, and he wears a sad, absurd smile. This is the scene of Rudy when he died. Remember, Himmel Street was bombed, and all the people around Liesel were killed. And this is an early description of this scene concerning Rudy Steiner. Uh, I need someone to read. Thank you, Jenna. I need someone to read. Boghdadi, I think you haven't read today. Boghdadi. Abdurrahman. So Boghdadi is not there. طيب. Lion, can you read? Lion.
Yes, mister.
Okay. Can you read, dear?
Yes, mister.
Okay. I want you to read, Lion. Lion, I want you to read.
I was talking to myself. Mister, you didn't hear me?
No, I didn't.
Sorry.
But now I do. Okay.
Sorry.
He stood.
Starting from he stood. Okay.
Yeah.
He stood a few meters from the step and spoke with great conviction, great joy.
Alice is scheiße. Alice is scheiße. This is in German. All is shit. As this is in English. This we're talking about
He
Rudy.
announced.
Okay.
Sorry. In the first half of 1941, while Liesel went about the business of concealing Max Vanderberg, stealing newspapers, and telling off mayors' wives, Rudy was enduring a new life of his own.
at the Hilter Youth
Do you
since
remember,
every early February.
Lion, sorry, do you
Hmm?
remember the Hitler Youth? This is the organization which took the young children, okay, and trained them in a specific way. We talked about it in the first term. And Rudy was a member in this organization and he was busy with his trainings and his exercises there. Okay, go on. Lion, go on. Since early
Since early
February.
February, he'd been turning from the meetings in a considerably worse state than he'd left in. On many of those return trips, Tommy Mueller was by his side in the same condition. The trouble had three elements to it: a tie, a triple
Tier,
tie,
tier.
tiered problem.
Yeah, a problem
Tommy
with three
Mueller's ear,
layers or three parts. He has a problem with three parts. These are the three parts. Hmm?
Tommy Mueller's ears, friends
Deutsche.
Dutch's the irate Hitler's youth leader,
Hmm,
Rudy's inability to stay out of things.
hmm.
If only Tommy Mueller hadn't disappeared for several hours on one of the coldest days in Munich's history, 6 years earlier, his ear infections and nerve damage were still contouring the marching patterns at the Hitler's youth, which I can assure you was not a positive thing. To begin with, the downward slide of Monument was gradual.
Okay, okay, Liane, hold on a second. Hold on a second, please. Uh, Tommy Mueller, if you remember, Tommy Mueller guy, the boy who was always twitching, the boy whose mother forgot behind in the marketplace, and it was very cold then, and he had a couple of surgeries on his face and ear. He didn't hear very well. If you remember this guy, the twitching man, the twitching boy. So if only Mueller hadn't disappeared for 7 hours on one of the coldest days in Munich's history 6 years earlier. So the narrator is telling us about this incident again. His ear infections and nerve damage were still contorting the marching pattern at the Hitler Youth, which I can assure you was not a positive thing. So death, again, the narrator is referring to this incident again when Tommy Mueller got lost and he had an infection in his ears and he had many surgeries which affected his nerves badly or negatively. Go on, Liane.
To begin with, the downward slide of Monument was gradual, but as the months processed, Tommy was consistently gathering the ear of the Hitler's youth leaders, especially when it came to the marching. Remember Hitler's birthday the previous year? For some time, the ear infection was getting worse. They had reached the point where Tommy had genuine problems hearing. He could not make out the commands that were shouted at the group as they marched in line. It didn't matter if it was in the hall or outside, in the snow or the mud or the slits of the rain. The goal was always to have everyone stop at the same time. One click, they were told. That's all the Führer wants to hear. Everyone united, everyone together as one. Then Tommy.
Okay, thank you, Liane. So again, guys, Tommy Mueller, the boy can't hear very well. Why? Because he had an infection 6 years ago, because he was lost or forgotten behind in the marketplace, and he had many surgeries which affected his hearing, and he had something like a river of the scar of the surgeries or the scars of the surgeries were like a river on his face, if you remember this. And imagine you are a soldier standing in a line, and soldiers in their trainings should raise the right hand at the same time. They should be united, put it down at the same time, step forward at the same time, move right, move left at the same time. But when the leader told the children to do anything of this, the boy didn't hear them well. This is why there was something like a chaos. Okay, There was not any order because the boy couldn't hear him well. It was his left ear, I think, that was the most troublesome of the two. So his left ear was worse than the right one. And when the bitter cry of halt, halt in German means stop, wet the ear of everybody else, Tommy marched comically and obliviously on. Tommy, when the leader asked them to stop, they all stop, but Tommy, who doesn't hear well, keeps on going. Can you imagine that? It's funny. Tommy marched comically and obliviously on. He could transform a marching line into a dog's breakfast in the blink of an eye. Yani he could damage all these trainings in a second because he never hears what the leader asks him to do. On one particular Saturday at the beginning of July, just after 3:30 and a litany of Tommy-inspired failed marching attempts, Franz Deutscher, who is Franz Deutscher, the ultimate name for the ultimate teenage Nazi. This is a Nazi boy, was completed or completely fed up with Tommy. Müller, du Affe, his thick blonde hair massaged his head and his words manipulated Tommy's face. You ape, what's wrong with you? Ape means monkey. The boy, Franz Deutscher, again, remember this name, Franz Deutscher, the leader of this group, said to Mueller, you ape, you monkey, what's wrong with you? Tommy slouched fearfully back, but his left cheek still managed to twitch in a maniac cheerful contortion. He appeared not only to be laughing with a triumphant smirk, but accepting the bucketing with glee. He was happy or looked smiling, and Franz Deutscher wasn't having any of it. Franz was angry because, again, Tommy spoiled the line again and again. His pale eyes cooked him. Well, he asked, what can you say for yourself? Why are you spoiling the line? Tommy's twitch only increased. Tommy was twitching, moving his face the way in both speed and depth. Are you mocking me? Franz thought that Tommy was mocking him. Heil twitched Tommy in a desperate attempt to buy some approval, but he did not make it to the Hitler part. That was when Rudy stepped forward. He faced Franz Deutscher. Rudy meddled here, looking up at him. He's got a problem, sir. Franz didn't know that Tommy Mueller had a problem with his hearing. Rudy explained it to him. I can see that, answered Franz. I can see that he has a problem with his ears. Rudy finished. He can't hear, right? That's it. Deutscher rubbed his hands together. Both of you, Rudy and Tommy, 6 laps of the grounds. You are supposed to run 6 laps. You know, a lap is one time around the track. They obeyed, but not fast enough. Schnell, schnell means fast or quickly. His voice chased them. They were running slowly. This was a punishment. When the 6 laps were completed, they were given some drills of the run, drop down, get up, get down again, variety. And after 15 very long minutes, they were ordered to the ground for what should have been the last time. Rudy looked down. A warped circle of mud grinned up at him. You might What might you be looking at? It seemed to ask. Down, Franz ordered. He asked him to go down. Rudy naturally jumped over it and dropped to his stomach. Up, Franz smiled, one step back, and he was punishing them, and he was punishing Rudy for interfering with the Mueller's issue. They did it down. The message was clear, and now Rudy accepted it. He dived at the mud and held his breath, and at that moment, lying ear to sodden earth, the drill ended.